Hi guys, it's Alyssa here with another spiritual life hack for you this week, and rather than giving you an exercise, I'm more going to share with you a story and then ask you to see where this story perhaps applies to you in your own life. And the theme of this video is to stop being so hard on yourself, stop being so critical, stop saying that you're not good enough. Whenever we say I'm not good enough, it's an affirmation. We spoke about affirmations last week in the magical mind marriage video, right? That we don't want to be saying affirmations that aren't of our highest good, aren't going to serve us. So, quick story time. Are you sitting comfortably? So, when I was about 13 years old, I went into a clothes store and I was trying on some jeans, and I remember it clear as day, and that the jeans wouldn't really fit. I'm not a fan of jeans. I like them on other people, but I don't personally wear them. But anyway, that's another story. So I'm trying on these jeans because I thought I'm just going to change things up a little bit. And the girl in front of me at the store says to me, those jeans look horrible on you. I think you should just leave the store because they look awful and everyone's going to laugh at you in them, and they don't fit anyway, and your thighs are too fat to fit into them. So this girl says this to me, and I leave the store and I'm really upset, and I, holding back the tears, and I get home and I just look at myself again and I'm just like, this is awful. I'm glad I didn't buy the jeans. Now, before you say, oh my goodness, who was this girl? Why didn't you complain? You should go back to the store. How could somebody say that to you? I just want to tell you that the girl at the store in front of me saying these things to me was myself. It was my reflection in the mirror in the changing room. But it was that real and that strong that it did almost feel like it was somebody else saying it to me. Those words about myself, those thoughts about myself came from my own head. And I don't necessarily know where that came from, because at 13, 14, I was not raised to self-doubt. We just didn't have that in our house. I don't ever remember my mother ever putting herself down. I never heard her do that to herself, ever. Which I think is quite amazing. She never did that in front of us. So my put down in front of myself, I don't know where that came from. Maybe it was my friends from school. I mean, someone once said I had thunder thighs. I obviously took that to heart a little bit too much. But the point of this is that, I really allowed that to affect me, and it wasn't a one-off, and it creeps up throughout your life, and it doesn't just have to do with the way you look, or your thighs, or whatever. It can be to do with your relationships with other people. It can affect that. It can affect your career. It can affect your life purpose. Thinking I'm not good enough will never make you feel good enough. And what I want to really talk to you about, as well as this idea of the way we look, we put ourselves down, we do it in our careers, and that is crazy. We all have mentors. Excuse me. We all have mentors who we look up to and we respect. People in our careers who we want to be like. Those people may share their struggle with you. In other words, they may share their story with you, and that's great, but they might not be clear about the specifics all the time. Now, I prefer mentors that completely put it out there and say, this is what I felt about myself, this is what my circumstance was, and this is how I changed it. I like working with those kinds of people. But not all mentors will give you the exact specifics of their personal situation, and that is completely their prerogative. People can share as much or as little as they want. But what I'm saying is, everybody has their challenges. People might not be 100% not necessarily honest, but they might just not give you all the details for that because there isn't enough time, or they may think that you're not interested. Everybody has their own story of how they got from A to B. Please don't compare yourself to those people. It's the same as comparing yourself to a celebrity or somebody else, It's the same as comparing yourself to people on the cover of Vogue magazine when it's clearly airbrushed. Vogue magazine is great. It's a fantasy. It's entertainment. is not to be taken as something to aspire to. It isn't real. Just as somebody's life looking perfect and shiny and sparkly all the time, that isn't real either. I believe in doing deep shadow work, but at the same time I like to balance things out. There's enough stuff happening that is bringing the Earth's vibration down. I like to keep the vibration high, and my videos are mostly very high vibrational, and I hope even this one is too. But does that mean that my life is always perfect? Of course not. Of course not. So we need to stop comparing ourselves to celebrities, to our mentors, to our peers, to our friends, to people on social media, to people in magazines, to the person that's trying on clothes in the next changing room. We need to stop it, because this idea of I'm not good enough, what that does is it stops you from going for your purpose. It will stop you, and that is so sad for me to see, because you feeling that you're not good enough, that's not going to make you want to start. Your passion isn't going to make you want to start either. The thing that's going to make you want to start your purpose or start living your life to the fullest is just doing it. Often people say to me, well, I'm just waiting to find what my passion is, because I'm not really good enough at anything, and I'm waiting to find what my passion is so I can just at least follow that. Well, let me tell you something. Your passion doesn't really find you. You find it. You start getting passionate about things when you start creating things. Human beings are creators. You may not have been, I'm sure you've had jobs in the past where you went for the interview, you got it, and then you start the job and you didn't know what you were doing. I'm sure there was other people like me who had that in the past, right? Where you go for a job and you say, oh yeah, and then you don't really know, but you pick it up as you go, and then you start getting passionate about it. I was working as I had to put data into a computer. I basically had to take data off a sheet into a computer. I thought that sounded boring and I didn't know how to do it, but I learned and I got dead good at it, and I was doing it really fast. The better I got at it, the more passionate I actually got about it, and in the end I was looking forward to going to work to do this little task that had just grown on me for some reason. So don't worry about finding your passion will find you if you just start living your life and take away that idea of I'm not good enough. That really doesn't mean anything. If you're not good at something, you can be. None of us are experts when we start off at anything. When I started teaching about spiritual stuff, when I even started doing videos, I didn't know what I was doing, and I still probably have a lot to learn. But the thing is, you don't get great at something without just starting. So don't be like I was, that girl in the mirror telling me to leave a shop. I told myself to leave a shop. I've worked in shops. Would I ever tell a customer to leave a shop? No way would those words ever leave my mouth for anyone else. I would never be so cruel, but I was to myself. And it's not just me, it's all of us can do that to each other. Not to each other, but to ourselves. And that's awful. So we need to just take a breath before that happens and affirm something different, because it can become a habit telling yourself you're not good enough. It can stem from how you've been raised in school. I mean, there are so many examples. I was left-handed and told I shouldn't be left-handed. I was dyslexic and told that made me stupid. And I had a lot of different challenges in my own personal life that told me that I wasn't good enough. But the truth is, I was. The truth is, being left-handed isn't a problem. The truth is, being dyslexic, I still got a first-class honours degree. The truth is, having bigger thighs, I still managed to find a pair of jeans. It doesn't really affect my life in any way. The fact that I'm not perfect at everything doesn't mean that I'm not good enough as a human being, as a soul, as a spiritual teacher on this planet, as a brother, a sister, a daughter. Well, I'm not a brother, but you get what I mean. It doesn't mean that we as brothers and sisters aren't good enough for each other. It just means that, we can get better at stuff. We can learn more stuff. But just take that pressure off yourself. Take the pressure off in finding your passion. Take the pressure off in terms of getting good at something, and just run with it. Learn as you're going. It's going to be a lot more fun for you. So I hope that this video has been of service to somebody, or multiple somebodies. Let me know in the description of this video or in the comments, like, what experiences you've had and maybe how you overcame that feeling of not being good enough. For me, it's affirmations all the way. I have that thought and then I affirm that I am good enough. That for me is the simplest way, but if you have any ways that you want to share with the rest of us, that would be cool. So I'll speak to you again very shortly with another spiritual life hacks video, but in the meantime, remember that I love you lots and that you are perfect in the eyes of the universe and you are more than good enough.